When the first sign that something was terribly wrong was the way my phone exploded with messages the moment I told my parents I had lost everything. My mother's text didn't say, "Are you okay?" It said, "We need to talk privately." My name is Daniel Carter, 33, founder of a software company I built from nothing. Years of sleepless nights, friendships slowly fading, birthdays missed, holidays ignored. I believed selling that company for $22 million would finally buy me peace. Instead, it bought silence. The moment I told my parents the lie my lawyer instructed me to tell, everything around me shifted. My father didn't call to check on me. He sent a single message, cold and final. "Don't come home. We can't afford your mistakes." Mistakes? They never once asked how I built the company. They never asked what it took to make it succeed. But what unsettled me wasn't what they said, it was what they didn't say. My lawyer, Marcus Hale, had warned me hours earlier. "Do it tonight," he told me, "then watch who contacts you first." I didn't understand what he meant until 3:15 in the morning, when my cousin Lily sent me a screenshot I was never supposed to see. It was from a private family group chat. At the top of the conversation, my mother had written something that made my stomach twist. "This is our chance." My hands trembled as I stared at the message Lily secretly forwarded, my mother's words glowing on the screen. "This is our chance." Chance for what? Below it, the rest of my family began replying like vultures circling something freshly wounded. My Uncle Victor typed first, "If he's broke, he's useless. Get the paperwork done before he figures it out." My father responded seconds later, "We move quickly. Don't let him know about the trust." My sister Claire joined the conversation with a smug line that made my chest tighten. "I told you he'd crash eventually. He never deserved any of it anyway." The trust. The word hit me harder than anything else. I had built a $22 million company with my own hands, and somehow there was a trust I knew nothing about. My lawyer's voice echoed in my memory. "Your parents aren't celebrating your success, Daniel. They're calculating it. Do exactly what I say and you'll see who they really are." And he was right, because at exactly 7:12 that morning, my mother called me. Her voice was warm in that artificial way people sound when they're pretending to care. "Daniel, sweetheart, you need to come by the house today. There are some things we need to take care of." She didn't know I had already seen the messages. She didn't know I knew about the trust. And she definitely didn't know I wouldn't be walking into that house alone. Marcus had told me exactly what would happen next, and the thought of it made my chest tighten as I drove toward the house I grew up in. The entire way there, his instructions replayed in my mind. The moment they think you're broke, they'll show you their intentions. Don't react, just observe. Observe. Easy advice to give, hard advice to follow when betrayal is burning through your veins. When I pulled into the driveway, the air felt stiff, like every person in the room had rehearsed their role before I arrived. My mother didn't hug me, didn't reach for me, didn't even offer a seat. She simply shut the door quietly behind me and whispered, "We don't have long. Your father is getting the documents." A few seconds later, my father walked into the living room holding a thick envelope with my name printed neatly across the front. He didn't look at me when he handed it over. He didn't smile either. "Sign these," he said flatly. "It's better for everyone if you do. Better for everyone except me." My sister Claire sat on the couch with her arms crossed, a smile spreading slowly across her face, like she had waited years to watch this moment unfold. My mother spoke next, her voice calm in that patronizing way she used whenever she thought she was right. "You messed up badly this time, Daniel. You always do." The envelope felt strangely heavy in my hands, too heavy. Something inside it was wrong, very wrong. As I opened it, a single sentence jumped off the page, and my vision blurred with disbelief. Revocation of beneficiary rights. My own family was cutting me out completely. My breath left my body in one sharp exhale as the words repeated themselves in my mind. Revocation of beneficiary rights. They weren't even pretending this was anything else. My father finally looked at me then, his face completely calm, like this wasn't betrayal at all, just another business transaction. Daniel, you're not thinking clearly right now. You've made irresponsible decisions, and the trust needs protection. Protection. My mother stepped closer, lowering her voice like she was comforting a stranger on a bus. If you sign the papers now, we won't pursue the clause that penalizes irresponsible heirs. Irresponsible heir clause. So many complicated words that all meant the same thing. They believed I had lost everything and they wanted every dollar locked away before I could get anywhere near it. Claire leaned forward, unable to hide her excitement. Honestly, Daniel, you should be thankful. You're terrible with money. You blew $22 million in, what, a weekend? The lie Marcus told me to spread had worked perfectly. They believed every word of it. But then came the moment that burned deeper than anything else. Claire raised her phone and began recording me. "Look at him," she said loudly to the room, "the millionaire who lost it all. Dad, send this to the family group chat." Laughter filled the living room. Everyone laughed except me, because behind them the front door quietly opened. The laughter died instantly when Marcus Hale stepped inside the room. Perfectly tailored suit, leather briefcase in one hand, expression completely unreadable. My father stiffened immediately. My mother froze mid-smile. Claire slowly lowered her phone, unsure of what she was seeing. Marcus walked calmly toward the coffee table and spoke in a polite voice that somehow carried through the entire room. "Good morning. I see you've already started without me." My mother blinked in confusion. "Why are you here?" Marcus set his briefcase down on the table and looked directly at her. "Because Daniel didn't lose $22 million. He followed my legal instruction to reveal the truth about this family's intentions." Silence filled the room like heavy fog. My father's jaw tightened. Truth about exactly what? Marcus opened his briefcase and removed a thick folder far heavier than the envelope they had just handed me. He slid it across the table toward them. Inside were bank transfers, emails, notarized documents, and signed authorizations, all bearing their names. "Daniel," Marcus said calmly, "your parents attempted to reroute the family trust into a private account under your sister's control. If you signed those documents today, everything your grandfather built would have been permanently transferred out of your reach." My mother's face drained of color. "That's not what this is. You're twisting things." Marcus tilted his head slightly. "The clause you mentioned earlier, the one penalizing irresponsible heirs, I wrote that clause personally, and it doesn't apply to beneficiaries. It applies to trustees who attempt to commit financial fraud." Claire swallowed hard, and the color drained slowly from her face. The room shifted in a way I could almost feel in my bones. Pain sharpened into clarity. Clarity hardened into resolve. My revenge wouldn't be loud. It wouldn't be dramatic. It would be legal, exact, surgical. Marcus glanced at me and gave a small nod. That was my signal, my moment to step forward. I inhaled slowly, steadying myself the way someone does right before the blade finally falls. My parents watched me carefully now, like cornered animals unsure which direction the trap would close from. They still believed there was a way out. They were wrong. I placed the unsigned envelope back on the coffee table between us. "No," I said quietly, "you'll be the one signing something today." Claire scoffed instantly. "You can't force us to do anything." Marcus raised a hand calmly. Actually, she can. From his briefcase, he pulled out another set of documents. Fresh, clean, devastating. He slid them across the table toward my parents. "These are the formal resignation papers for your trustee authority over the family trust, effective immediately. If you refuse to sign them, we will initiate a full court-ordered audit of every financial account you've controlled for the past 15 years. My father's face twisted with fury. "You wouldn't dare." "Try me," Marcus replied without blinking. I watched their confidence crumble piece by piece. First came anger, then fear, then the slow realization that their own greed had cornered them. My mother's hands trembled as she stared down at the documents. "Daniel, please, we were only trying to..." To steal from me, I finished calmly, to humiliate me, to record me breaking so you could laugh about it later. Claire stepped forward suddenly. You can't take everything from us. I turned toward her slowly. I'm not taking everything, I said, just everything that was never yours. Silence dropped over the room like a curtain. My parents looked at each other once before reaching for the pens. Marcus leaned slightly closer to me and whispered under his breath, Daniel, brace yourself. They're not done fighting yet. My father slammed the pen down on the table before signing anything and glared at me with a rage I hadn't seen since I was a teenager. You think you're punishing us? He growled. You're destroying this family. I didn't even flinch. This family destroyed itself the moment money mattered more to you than your own son. Claire stepped forward suddenly, desperation cracking through her voice. Daniel, please, if Mom and Dad lose control of the trust, I lose my stipend, my condo, my car. I can't afford that. There it was, the truth finally spoken out loud. Not love, not loyalty, dependence. Marcus crossed his arms and spoke evenly. For the record, Daniel Carter is now the sole trustee of the Carter Family Trust. Any financial distributions moving forward will be decided entirely by him. My family's faces drained at the same time. It would have been almost funny under different circumstances. My mother reached out suddenly and grabbed my wrist, tears forming in her voice. We raised you. We gave you everything. I gently pulled my arm away from her grip. You gave me life, not love, and definitely not loyalty. My father tried one last move, his voice low and threatening. If you do this, you'll regret it. Money can't replace family. I held his gaze steadily. Neither can betrayal. And finally, with shaking hands and defeated silence, they signed away their control. I thought it was over. I really did. But Marcus leaned close again and spoke quietly. Daniel, there's one more thing you haven't seen yet, something your grandfather left only for you. The entire room went still. Marcus reached into his briefcase one final time and removed a small velvet envelope, aged and ivory-colored, sealed with wax. My heart skipped. This was entrusted to me by your grandfather, Marcus said softly, to give to you only after your parents revealed their true intentions. My mother suddenly stepped forward in panic. No, he doesn't need to read that. I raised a hand without even looking at her. For the first time in my life, she stopped speaking. I broke the seal carefully. Inside was a handwritten letter and a small brass key. My grandfather's handwriting curved across the page like he was standing beside me again. Daniel, I always knew your strength would come from surviving what others tried to take from you. Everything I built belongs to you now, but the key is the real legacy. Beneath the letter sat another document, property deeds to a private estate in Colorado, worth even more than the trust itself. My grandfather had known. Somehow he had seen this betrayal long before I ever could. My father's voice cracked behind me. He left that to you? For the first time, I felt absolutely nothing toward any of them. No anger, no sadness, just distance. I folded the letter, slipped the key into my pocket, and stood up. This family ended itself, I said quietly. I'm just walking away from the ruins. When I stepped outside the house, the morning sun spilled across the driveway, and the air felt lighter than it had in years. Marcus walked beside me and said softly, You didn't lose $22 million, Daniel. You gained your freedom. I nodded slowly and finally took a full breath, and I'm never letting anyone control my silence again. If this story stayed with you longer than the video itself, don't walk away. Subscribe. This channel is for people who actually feel what they hear. And if this story meant something to you, leave a comment below and share it with someone who needs to hear it.